Welcome back to English in Mastery. If this is your first time here, I'm really glad you found this lesson. And if you've been learning with me for a while, welcome back. Today, you're not just listening to English. You're training your ear, your mouth, and your confidence at the same time. In this long-form English learning podcast, we're going to practice one of the most important parts of real, everyday English, phrasal verbs, not textbook English, not stiff, unnatural sentences, but the kind of English people actually use when they wake up, go to work, talk to friends, and live their daily lives. This lesson is designed to help you sound more natural, more fluent, and more confident, especially if you already understand English quite well, but you still feel like something is missing when you speak. That native-like flow? Before we get started, take 1 second to like this video and subscribe to English in Mastery. It really helps the channel grow, and it means you'll get more long, practical lessons like this one. Now, relax. Get comfortable. You don't need to rush. You can listen, repeat out loud, or just absorb the rhythm of the language. Let's start. In everyday English, phrasal verbs are everywhere. Native speakers use them without thinking, and that's exactly why learners often find them difficult. But once you start using them naturally, your English changes fast. Let's begin with something simple, something from daily life. Wake up. Think about your morning, every single day. You wake up, not just wake, you wake up. For example, I wake up at 6:30 during the week. Say it slowly with me. I wake up at 6:30 during the week. Again, I wake up at 6:30 during the week. Notice how wake up feels complete. If you only say wake, it sounds unfinished. Now, let's put this into a real conversation. Someone asks you, "What time do you usually wake up?" You answer, "I usually wake up around 6. But on weekends, I wake up later." Repeat that. I usually wake up around 6. But on weekends, I wake up later. Now let's add another very common phrasal verb, get up. Wake up is when your eyes open. Get up is when you leave the bed. For example, I wake up at 6, but I don't get up until 6:45. Say it with me. I wake up at 6, but I don't get up until 6:45. Again, slowly. I wake up at 6, but I don't get up until 6:45. This distinction is very natural in English, and native speakers use it all the time. Now imagine this conversation. Someone says, "You wake up early, don't you?" You reply, "Yeah, I wake up early, but sometimes I get up late because I feel tired." Repeat that. Yeah, I wake up early, but sometimes I get up late because I feel tired. Notice the rhythm. This is how real conversations sound. Now, let's move on to something else you probably do every morning. Turn off. You turn off your alarm. You turn off the light. You turn off your phone. For example, I turn off my alarm as soon as it goes off. Say it with me. I turn off my alarm as soon as it goes off. Again, I turn off my alarm as soon as it goes off. Now let's connect everything into a short daily routine. Listen carefully. I wake up at 6. I get up at 6:45. I turn off my alarm and start my day. Now say it with me, one sentence at a time. I wake up at 6. I get up at 6:45. I turn off my alarm and start my day. Now let's continue with another very common phrasal verb. Put on. This means to dress or wear something. For example, I put on my jacket before I leave the house. Repeat it. I put on my jacket before I leave the house. Again, I put on my jacket before I leave the house. Now imagine this situation. Someone asks, "Are you ready to go?" You say, "Almost. I just need to put on my shoes." Repeat it. Almost. I just need to put on my shoes. This is exactly how native speakers talk. Simple, natural, efficient. Now let's connect everything into a smooth morning story. Listen. I wake up at 6. I get up a little later. I turn off my alarm, put on my clothes, and get ready for work. Now repeat it with me slowly. I wake up at 6. I get up a little later. I turn off my alarm, put on my clothes, and get ready for work. Excellent. Let's keep going. Another phrasal verb you hear all the time is pick up. Pick up can mean to collect something or to collect someone. For example, I need to pick up my keys before I leave. Repeat it. I need to pick up my keys before I leave. Again, I need to pick up my keys before I leave. Now in a conversation, someone says, "Can you pick me up after work?" You reply, "Sure. I'll pick you up around 6. Repeat that. Sure. I'll pick you up around 6. Very natural. Now let's add another one. Look for. This means to search. For example, I'm looking for my phone. Repeat it. I'm looking for my phone. Again, I'm looking for my phone. Now imagine this situation. Someone asks, "What are you doing?" You answer, "I'm looking for my wallet. I can't find it." Repeat it. I'm looking for my wallet. I can't find it. Now listen to this short story. This morning, I woke up late. I got up quickly. I turned off my alarm, put on my clothes, and looked for my keys because I couldn't find them. Now say it with me step by step. This morning, I woke up late. I got up quickly. I turned off my alarm, put on my clothes, and looked for my keys because I couldn't find them. Great. Now let's introduce another phrasal verb that native speakers use constantly. Run into. This does not mean to run. It means to meet someone by chance. For example, yesterday, I ran into an old friend at the supermarket. Repeat it. Yesterday, I ran into an old friend at the supermarket. Again, yesterday, I ran into an old friend at the supermarket. Now, a short conversation. Guess what? I ran into Sarah yesterday. Really? Where did you run into her? I ran into her near the office. Repeat it slowly. I ran into Sarah yesterday. Where did you run into her? I ran into her near the office. Perfect. Now, let's add one more important phrasal verb. Find out. This means to discover information. For example, I just found out that the meeting was canceled. Repeat it. I just found out that the meeting was canceled. Again, I just found out that the meeting was canceled. Now, connect it into a story. Yesterday, I woke up late, ran into a neighbor outside, and found out that the bus wasn't running. Repeat it slowly. Yesterday, I woke up late, ran into a neighbor outside, and found out that the bus wasn't running. Very good. Before we move on, remember this. Fluency doesn't come from memorizing lists. It comes from hearing, repeating, and using English in real situations. Stay with me. In the next part, we'll continue building longer conversations, introduce more phrasal verbs, and raise the level naturally. Take a breath, and when you're ready, we'll keep going. All right, let's continue. As you listen, remember this. You don't need to understand every single word perfectly. What matters is that your brain starts recognizing patterns. That's how native speakers learned too. Now let's keep building from daily life and move a little deeper. Another very common phrasal verb is turn on. You turn on the light. You turn on the TV. You turn on your computer. For example, I turn on the coffee machine as soon as I get into the kitchen. Repeat it with me. I turn on the coffee machine as soon as I get into the kitchen. Again, I turn on the coffee machine as soon as I get into the kitchen. Now connect it with what we already practiced. Aston, I wake up, get up, turn off my alarm, and turn on the lights. Repeat it slowly. I wake up, get up, turn off my alarm, and turn on the lights. Now let's add another one that is very natural in conversation. Head out. This means to leave a place. For example, I usually head out around 8 in the morning. Repeat it. I usually head out around 8 in the morning. Again, I usually head out around 8 in the morning. Now imagine this short exchange. What time do you head out for work? I head out a little earlier on Mondays. Repeat it. I head out a little earlier on Mondays. Now let's put everything together into a smooth morning flow. Listen. I wake up at 6. Get up slowly. Turn off my alarm. Turn on the lights. Put on my clothes. And head out for work. Now repeat it with me, calmly and clearly. I wake up at 6. Get up slowly. Turn off my alarm. Turn on the lights. Put on my clothes. And head out for work. Excellent. Now let's move into the middle of the day. Another phrasal verb you hear constantly is deal with. This means to handle a problem or situation. For example, I have to deal with a lot of emails at work. Repeat it. I have to deal with a lot of emails at work. Again, I have to deal with a lot of emails at work. Now in conversation. How do you deal with stress at work? I try to deal with it by taking short breaks. Repeat it slowly. I try to deal with it by taking short breaks. Very natural. Now let's add another one. Figure out. This means to understand or solve something. For example, I need to figure out how this app works. Repeat it. I need to figure out how this app works. Again, I need to figure out how this app works. Now a short dialogue. Did you figure out the problem? Yeah. I figured it out after a while. Repeat it. Yeah. I figured it out after a while. Now listen to this short work-related story. At work. I had to deal with a problem. It took some time. But I finally figured it out. Repeat it slowly. At work. I had to deal with a problem. It took some time. But I finally figured it out. Now let's raise the level slightly. Another very common phrasal verb is go over. This means to review something. For example, let's go over the plan one more time. Repeat it. Let's go over the plan one more time. Again, let's go over the plan one more time. Now in conversation, can we go over the details later? Sure. We can go over them this afternoon. Repeat it. Sure. We can go over them this afternoon. Now connect it naturally. Listen. Before the meeting, we went over the main points together. Repeat it. Before the meeting, we went over the main points together. Very good. Now let's add another useful one. Bring up. This means to mention a topic. For example, she brought up an interesting idea during the meeting. Repeat it. She brought up an interesting idea during the meeting. Again, she brought up an interesting idea during the meeting. Now, a short exchange. Why did he bring that up? He brought it up because it was important. Repeat it slowly. He brought it up because it was important. Now let's build a longer, natural workplace story. Listen carefully. This morning at work, my manager brought up a new project. We went over the details, dealt with a few problems, and figured out a solution together. Now repeat it step by step. This morning at work, my manager brought up a new project. We went over the details, dealt with a few problems, and figured out a solution together. Excellent. Now let's move away from work and back into everyday life. Another very common phrasal verb is hang out. This means to spend time together casually. For example, I usually hang out with my friends on weekends. Repeat it. I usually hang out with my friends on weekends. Again, I usually hang out with my friends on weekends. Now in conversation. Do you want to hang out later? Yeah. Let's hang out after dinner. Repeat it. Yeah. Let's hang out after dinner. Now let's add another one. Catch up. This can mean to talk after not seeing someone for a while. For example, we met for coffee and caught up. Repeat it. We met for coffee and caught up. Again, we met for coffee and caught up. Now a short dialogue. It's been a long time. We should catch up soon. Yeah. Let's catch up this weekend. Repeat it slowly. Yeah. Let's catch up this weekend. Now connect everything into a natural social situation. Listen. After work, I met a friend. We hung out for a while and caught up on life. Repeat it. After work, I met a friend. We hung out for a while and caught up on life. Very natural. Now let's introduce another one that's extremely common. Run out of. This means you have no more of something. For example, we ran out of milk this morning. Repeat it. We ran out of milk this morning. Again, we ran out of milk this morning. Now in conversation. Do we have any coffee left? No. We ran out of it yesterday. Repeat it. No. We ran out of it yesterday. Now listen to this everyday situation. I was getting ready to leave, but I realized we had run out of coffee, so I stopped by a store on the way. Repeat it slowly. I realized we had run out of coffee, so I stopped by a store on the way. Now let's add another very natural one. And pick up on. This means to notice something. For example, I picked up on his tone right away. Repeat it. I picked up on his tone right away. Again, I picked up on his tone right away. Now in conversation. Did you pick up on her mood? Yeah. I could tell she was tired. Repeat it slowly. Yeah. I could tell she was tired. Now listen to this longer story. After work, I hung out with a friend. I picked up on the fact that he was stressed. So, we talked for a while and caught up. Repeat it, step by step. After work, I hung out with a friend. I picked up on the fact that he was stressed. So we talked for a while and caught up. Very good. Now, let's slow down for a moment. If you're listening passively, that's fine. If you're repeating out loud, even better. This kind of repetition trains your mouth to move naturally in English. In the next part, we'll continue with more advanced, high-frequency phrasal verbs. We'll start connecting longer stories and smoother transitions, just like native speakers do when they talk for a long time. Stay relaxed, and when you're ready, we'll keep going. Great. Let's keep moving forward. As we continue, you'll notice that the English becomes slightly more complex, but still very natural. This is how we move toward a higher level without forcing it. Now let's talk about another phrasal verb that shows up constantly in real conversations. Work out. This phrasal verb has two very common meanings. First, it means to exercise. For example, I work out 3 times a week. Repeat it with me. I work out 3 times a week. Again, I work out 3 times a week. Now, the second meaning. It means that a situation has a good result. For example, everything worked out in the end. Repeat it. Everything worked out in the end. Again, everything worked out in the end. Now listen to this short dialogue. Do you work out regularly? Yeah. I try to work out in the mornings. I hope your new schedule works out. Thanks. I think it will work out fine. Repeat it slowly. I think it will work out fine. Now, let's connect this into daily life. Listen. I work out in the morning, then head out for work, hoping everything works out during the day. Repeat it. I work out in the morning, then head out for work, hoping everything works out during the day. Very natural. Now let's add another phrasal verb that is extremely common. Look after. This means to take care of someone or something. For example, I look after my nephew on weekends. Repeat it. I look after my nephew on weekends. Again, I look after my nephew on weekends. Now in conversation. Can you look after my dog tonight? Sure. I can look after him. Repeat it slowly. Sure. I can look after him. Now listen to this short story. This weekend, I looked after my cousin while my aunt was away. Repeat it. This weekend, I looked after my cousin while my aunt was away. Now let's introduce another very natural phrasal verb. Take off. This one has 2 very common meanings. First, it means to remove something. For example, I take off my shoes when I get home. Repeat it. I take off my shoes when I get home. Again, I take off my shoes when I get home. The second meaning is related to airplanes. For example, the plane takes off at 9. Repeat it. The plane takes off at 9. Again, the plane takes off at 9. Now, let's use it in a natural exchange. Please take off your jacket and make yourself comfortable. Okay? I'll take it off. Repeat it slowly. Okay. I'll take it off. Now let's connect these ideas. Listen. After I got home, I took off my shoes, looked after a few things around the house, and tried to relax. Repeat it. After I got home, I took off my shoes, looked after a few things around the house, and tried to relax. Very good. Now let's move into the evening. Another very common phrasal verb is eat out. This means to eat at a restaurant. For example, we usually eat out on Fridays. Repeat it. We usually eat out on Fridays. Again, we usually eat out on Fridays. Now in conversation. Do you want to cook or eat out tonight? Let's eat out. I'm too tired to cook. Repeat it slowly. Let's eat out. I'm too tired to cook. Now let's add another one. Stay in. This means to remain at home. For example, I decided to stay in and relax. Repeat it. I decided to stay in and relax. Again, I decided to stay in and relax. Now listen to this natural contrast. Sometimes I eat out with friends, but sometimes I stay in and rest. Repeat it. Sometimes I eat out with friends, but sometimes I stay in and rest. Very natural. Now, let's connect everything into a longer evening story. Listen carefully. After work, I was tired, so I didn't feel like going out. I stayed in, took off my shoes, ordered food instead of eating out, and tried to relax. Now repeat it, step by step. After work, I was tired, so I didn't feel like going out. I stayed in, took off my shoes, ordered food instead of eating out, and tried to relax. Excellent. Now let's move slightly deeper into natural conversation. Another very common phrasal verb is turn down. This can mean to reduce volume or to refuse something. First meaning, can you turn down the music? It's too loud. Repeat it. Can you turn down the music? It's too loud. Again, can you turn down the music? It's too loud. Second meaning, he turned down the job offer. Repeat it. He turned down the job offer. Again, he turned down the job offer. Now a short dialogue. Did you accept the offer? No, I turned it down. Repeat it slowly. No, I turned it down. Now let's add one more. Put off. This means to delay something. For example, I had to put off the meeting. Repeat it. I had to put off the meeting. Again, I had to put off the meeting. Now, listen to this short story. I planned to go out, but I put it off because I was too tired. Repeat it. I planned to go out, but I put it off because I was too tired. Now let's combine these into a more advanced, natural flow. Listen. I turned down an invitation, put off my plans, stayed in for the night, and hoped things would work out better tomorrow. Repeat it slowly. I turned down an invitation, put off my plans, stayed in for the night, and hoped things would work out better tomorrow. Excellent. Now pause for a moment. Notice how these sentences flow. Nothing sounds forced. Nothing sounds academic. This is how English sounds when people talk for a long time. Naturally. In the next part, we'll keep increasing the level. We'll introduce more nuanced phrasal verbs, longer stories, and smoother transitions. Stay with me. We're building real fluency, step by step. Let's continue. As we move forward, pay attention to how these phrasal verbs connect ideas, emotions, and situations. This is where English starts to sound truly natural and flexible. Now let's introduce a very common phrasal verb that native speakers use in both casual and serious situations. Come across. This means to find something by chance, or to give a certain impression. First meaning, for example, I came across an interesting article online. Repeat it with me. I came across an interesting article online. Again, I came across an interesting article online. Now, the second meaning. It describes how someone appears to others. For example, he comes across as very confident. Repeat it. He comes across as very confident. Again, he comes across as very confident. Now, listen to this natural exchange. How did she seem in the interview? She came across as calm and prepared. Repeat it slowly. She came across as calm and prepared. Now let's connect this into everyday life. Yesterday, I came across an old photo, and it brought back a lot of memories. Repeat it. Yesterday, I came across an old photo, and it brought back a lot of memories. Very natural. Now let's move on to another extremely common phrasal verb. Carry on. This means to continue. For example, even though I was tired, I carried on working. Repeat it. Even though I was tired, I carried on working. Again, even though I was tired, I carried on working. Now in conversation. Should we stop here? No. Let's carry on. Repeat it slowly. No. Let's carry on. Now listen to this longer sentence. I felt exhausted, but I carried on because I wanted to finish what I started. Repeat it. I felt exhausted, but I carried on because I wanted to finish what I started. Excellent. Now let's introduce another phrasal verb that often appears in real conversations. End up. This means the final result, often unexpected. For example, we planned to go for a walk, but we ended up staying home. Repeat it. We planned to go for a walk, but we ended up staying home. Again, we ended up staying home. Now in a dialogue. Where did you end up going? Last night, we ended up at a small cafe near the river. Repeat it slowly. We ended up at a small cafe near the river. Now let's connect these ideas into a smooth story. Listen. I came across a message from an old friend. We talked for a while, carried on chatting longer than planned, and ended up meeting the next day. Repeat it step by step. I came across a message from an old friend. We carried on chatting longer than planned. We ended up meeting the next day. Very good. Now let's raise the level slightly again. Another phrasal verb that native speakers use all the time is point out. This means to show or mention something important. For example, she pointed out a mistake in the report. Repeat it. She pointed out a mistake in the report. Again, she pointed out a mistake in the report. Now in conversation. Can you point out where the problem is? Sure. I'll point it out. Repeat it slowly. Sure. I'll point it out. Now listen to this natural workplace situation. During the meeting, my colleague pointed out a few issues, and we carried on discussing solutions. Repeat it. During the meeting, my colleague pointed out a few issues, and we carried on discussing solutions. Now, let's introduce another one that's very useful in daily life. Run into problems. You already learned run into as meet by chance, but we also use run into with problems. For example, we ran into some technical issues. Repeat it. We ran into some technical issues. Again, we ran into some technical issues. Now in conversation. Did everything go smoothly? Not really. We ran into a few problems. Repeat it slowly. We ran into a few problems. Now listen to this longer sentence. At first, everything seemed fine, but later we ran into problems and had to figure out a new plan. Repeat it. Later we ran into problems and had to figure out a new plan. Very good. Now let's add another natural one. Sort out. This means to organize or solve a problem. For example, I need to sort out my schedule. Repeat it. I need to sort out my schedule. Again, I need to sort out my schedule. Now in a dialogue. Did you sort out the issue? Yes. I sorted it out this morning. Repeat it slowly. Yes. I sorted it out this morning. Now let's connect several phrasal verbs into one longer, natural story. Listen carefully. Yesterday, I came across a small issue at work. My manager pointed it out during the meeting. We ran into a few problems at first, but we carried on discussing ideas and eventually sorted everything out. Now repeat it step by step. Yesterday, I came across a small issue at work. My manager pointed it out during the meeting. We ran into a few problems at first, but we carried on discussing ideas and sorted everything out. Excellent. Now let's move into more emotional, real-life English. Another very common phrasal verb is get over. This means to recover from something emotionally or physically. For example, it took me a while to get over the flu. Repeat it. It took me a while to get over the flu. Again, it took me a while to get over the flu. Now, another example. It took her months to get over the breakup. Repeat it slowly. It took her months to get over the breakup. Very natural. Now listen to this reflective sentence. Sometimes, you need time to get over things before you can move on. Repeat it. You need time to get over things before you can move on. Now let's add one more. Move on. This means to continue with life after something ends. For example, after the mistake, we decided to move on. Repeat it. We decided to move on. Again, we decided to move on. Now connect them. Listen. It wasn't easy, but I got over the situation and moved on. Repeat it slowly. I got over the situation and moved on. Very good. Now pause again. At this point, you're not just learning phrasal verbs. You're learning how English sounds when people talk about real life, problems, emotions, and experiences. In the next part, we'll continue with even more natural expressions, deeper situations, and longer connected stories. Take a breath, and when you're ready, we'll keep going. Let's keep going. Now you'll notice that the English starts to sound more reflective, more narrative. This is exactly how people speak when they tell stories, share experiences, or talk about life. Let's introduce another very common phrasal verb, look back on. This means to think about the past. For example, when I look back on my early career, I learned a lot. Repeat it with me. When I look back on my early career, I learned a lot. Again, when I look back on my early career, I learned a lot. Now in conversation. Do you ever look back on your school days? Yeah. I look back on them fondly. Repeat it slowly. Yeah. I look back on them fondly. Now, let's connect this naturally. As I look back on the past few years, I realize how much I've changed. Repeat it. As I look back on the past few years, I realize how much I've changed. Very natural. Now let's add another extremely common phrasal verb. Show up. This means to arrive or appear. For example, he showed up late to the meeting. Repeat it. He showed up late to the meeting. Again. He showed up late to the meeting. Now in conversation. Did she show up to the event? Yeah. She showed up right on time. Repeat it slowly. She showed up right on time. Now listen to this sentence. Even when things were difficult, he kept showing up every day. Repeat it. He kept showing up every day. Now let's introduce another one. Drop by. This means to visit someone for a short time. For example, I might drop by your place later. Repeat it. I might drop by your place later. Again, I might drop by your place later. Now in conversation. Can I drop by after work? Sure. Drop by anytime. Repeat it slowly. Sure. Drop by anytime. Now let's connect these into a real-life situation. Listen. Yesterday, a friend dropped by unexpectedly. We talked for a while and looked back on old memories. Repeat it. Yesterday, a friend dropped by unexpectedly. We talked for a while and looked back on old memories. Very good. Now, let's add another very common one. Go through. This phrasal verb has two main meanings. First, to experience something. For example, she went through a difficult time. Repeat it. She went through a difficult time. Again, she went through a difficult time. Second, to review something carefully. For example, let's go through the document together. Repeat it. Let's go through the document together. Again, let's go through the document together. Now, in conversation. Did you go through the details? Yeah. I went through them last night. Repeat it slowly. Yeah. I went through them last night. Now listen to this reflective sentence. Everyone goes through challenges at some point in life. Repeat it. Everyone goes through challenges at some point in life. Very natural. Now let's add another phrasal verb that appears often in deeper conversations. Hold on to. This means to keep something, physically or emotionally. For example, I still hold on to old photos. Repeat it. I still hold on to old photos. Again, I still hold on to old photos. Now another example. Sometimes we hold on to feelings for too long. Repeat it slowly. Sometimes we hold on to feelings for too long. Now let's connect this into a longer, emotional story. Listen carefully. When I look back on that time, I realize how much I went through. I held on to hope, even when things felt uncertain, and I kept showing up every day. Now repeat it, step by step. When I look back on that time, I realize how much I went through. I held on to hope, even when things felt uncertain, and I kept showing up every day. Excellent. Now let's introduce another very natural phrasal verb. Let go of. This is the opposite of hold on to. For example, it's hard to let go of the past. Repeat it. It's hard to let go of the past. Again, it's hard to let go of the past. Now in conversation. Why are you still upset? I haven't been able to let go of it yet. Repeat it slowly. I haven't been able to let go of it yet. Now connect it naturally. Sometimes, you need to let go of things in order to move forward. Repeat it. You need to let go of things in order to move forward. Very good. Now let's add one more. Open up. This means to start talking about your feelings. For example, he finally opened up about his worries. Repeat it. He finally opened up about his worries. Again, he finally opened up about his worries. Now, in conversation. It took time, but she eventually opened up. Repeat it slowly. She eventually opened up. Now listen to this longer. Natural reflection. Over time, I opened up to a close friend, let go of old frustrations, and slowly moved on. Repeat it step by step. Over time, I opened up to a close friend, I let go of old frustrations, and slowly moved on. Very good. Now pause again. At this stage, you're hearing English the way it's used in real conversations about life, growth, and experience. This is advanced, natural English, but it's still very clear and practical. In the next part, we'll continue with more nuanced phrasal verbs, longer storytelling, and smooth transitions that keep your listening strong for long sessions. Whenever you're ready, we'll continue. Let's continue. At this point, you may notice that the English feels calmer, more confident, and more fluid. That's exactly how advanced speakers sound. They don't rush. They let ideas connect naturally. Now let's introduce another very common phrasal verb that appears often in everyday and professional life. Take on. This means to accept responsibility, work, or a challenge. For example, I decided to take on more responsibility at work. Repeat it with me. I decided to take on more responsibility at work. Again, I decided to take on more responsibility at work. Now, in conversation. Do you want to take on this project? Yeah. I'm ready to take it on. Repeat it slowly. I'm ready to take it on. Now, listen to this natural sentence. At first, the task felt overwhelming, but I took it on anyway. Repeat it. I took it on anyway. Very natural. Now, let's add another phrasal verb that is extremely common in spoken English. Effade. Set up. This means to arrange, organize, or prepare something. For example, we need to set up a meeting. Repeat it. We need to set up a meeting. Again, we need to set up a meeting. Now in conversation. Have you set up the call yet? Yes. I set it up this morning. Repeat it slowly. Yes. I set it up this morning. Now listen to this short story. I took on a new role at work and helped set up a new system. Repeat it. I took on a new role at work and helped set up a new system. Very good. Now let's move to another natural phrasal verb. Check in. This means to ask how someone is doing, or to officially arrive somewhere. First meaning, I just wanted to check in and see how you're doing. Repeat it. I just wanted to check in and see how you're doing. Again, I just wanted to check in and see how you're doing. Second meaning, we checked in at the hotel around 3. Repeat it. We checked in at the hotel around 3. Now a short conversation. Did you check in already? Yeah. I checked in earlier. Repeat it slowly. Yeah. I checked in earlier. Now let's connect it naturally. Before the meeting started, my manager checked in with everyone. Repeat it. My manager checked in with everyone. Now, let's add another one. Follow up. This means to continue communication or action after something. For example, I'll follow up with you tomorrow. Repeat it. I'll follow up with you tomorrow. Again. I'll follow up with you tomorrow. Now in conversation. Did she follow up after the interview? Yes. She followed up by email. Repeat it slowly. Yes. She followed up by email. Now listen to this workplace flow. After the meeting, I followed up with a few emails to make sure everything was clear. Repeat it. I followed up with a few emails. Very natural. Now let's connect several phrasal verbs into one smooth, advanced story. Listen carefully. Last month, I took on a new project at work. We set up a timeline, checked in regularly as a team, and followed up whenever issues came up. It wasn't easy, but everything worked out in the end. Now repeat it step by step. Last month, I took on a new project at work. We set up a timeline. We checked in regularly, and we followed up whenever issues came up. Excellent. Now let's introduce another very common one. Come up. This means to appear or happen unexpectedly. For example, something important came up. Repeat it. Something important came up. Again, something important came up. Now in conversation. Why didn't you join us? Sorry. Something came up. Repeat it slowly. Sorry. Something came up. Now connect it naturally. During the project, a few unexpected problems came up. Repeat it. A few unexpected problems came up. Now, let's add another. Take care of. This means to handle or manage something. For example, I'll take care of it. Repeat it. I'll take care of it. Again, I'll take care of it. Now in conversation. Who's taking care of the details? I am. I'll take care of everything. Repeat it slowly. I'll take care of everything. Now listen to this natural sentence. When problems came up, I took care of them one by one. Repeat it. I took care of them one by one. Very good. Now let's move into something more reflective again. Another very natural phrasal verb is settle down. This means to relax or to start a stable life. For example, after a long day, I like to settle down and relax. Repeat it. I like to settle down and relax. Again, I like to settle down and relax. Now, another meaning, they decided to settle down and start a family. Repeat it slowly. They decided to settle down and start a family. Now, listen to this longer reflection. After years of moving around, I finally settled down and focused on what mattered most. Repeat it. I finally settled down and focused on what mattered most. Excellent. Now let's pause again. By now, you're hearing advanced, real English that flows naturally for long periods of time. This is exactly the kind of listening that builds C1 level intuition. In the next part, we'll continue with more subtle phrasal verbs, longer storytelling, and a smooth path toward the closing sections of this long lesson. Stay relaxed, and when you're ready, we'll continue. Let's keep going. At this stage, the English is very close to how people speak when they reflect, explain experiences, or talk calmly for a long time. This is exactly the level you want to get used to. Now let's introduce another phrasal verb that native speakers use constantly. Bring up. You've heard it before, but now we'll use it in more natural, nuanced ways. Bring up means to mention something, often a topic that matters. For example, she brought up an important point during the conversation. Repeat it with me. She brought up an important point during the conversation. Again, she brought up an important point during the conversation. Now in conversation. Why did he bring that up now? He brought it up because it couldn't wait. Repeat it slowly. He brought it up because it couldn't wait. Very natural. Now listen to this reflective sentence. Sometimes, certain memories come back when someone brings up the past. Repeat it. Sometimes, certain memories come back when someone brings up the past. Now let's add another very common phrasal verb. Turn out. This means the final result. Often surprising. For example, it turned out better than I expected. Repeat it. It turned out better than I expected. Again, it turned out better than I expected. Now in conversation. How did the interview go? It turned out really well. Repeat it slowly. It turned out really well. Now listen to this natural flow. At first, I was worried, but everything turned out fine. Repeat it. Everything turned out fine. Excellent. Now let's introduce another subtle but very common one. Fall behind. This means to not keep up. For example, I fell behind on my work. Repeat it. I fell behind on my work. Again, I fell behind on my work. Now in conversation. Why are you stressed? Because I'm falling behind on deadlines. Repeat it slowly. I'm falling behind on deadlines. Now listen to this longer sentence. When life got busy, I started to fall behind, but I didn't give up. Repeat it. I started to fall behind, but I didn't give up. Now let's connect several phrasal verbs into one smooth, realistic story. Listen carefully. At first, I took on too much work and started to fall behind. My manager brought up the issue, but instead of giving up, I adjusted my schedule. In the end, everything turned out better than expected. Now repeat it step by step. At first, I took on too much work and started to fall behind. My manager brought up the issue. In the end, Everything turned out better than expected. Excellent. Now, let's add another very natural phrasal verb. Catch on. This means to understand something or become popular. For example, it took me a while, but I finally caught on. Repeat it. I finally caught on. Again. I finally caught on. Now another meaning. That idea is really catching on. Repeat it slowly. That idea is really catching on. Now listen to this sentence. At first, the system was confusing, but after some practice, I caught on. Repeat it. After some practice, I caught on. Very good. Now let's introduce another one. Back up. This means to support someone or to make a copy of data. First meaning, my team backed me up. Repeat it. My team backed me up. Again, my team backed me up. Second meaning, don't forget to back up your files. Repeat it slowly. Don't forget to back up your files. Now listen to this natural situation. When I made a mistake, my colleagues backed me up and helped me fix it. Repeat it. My colleagues backed me up. Now let's add one more phrasal verb. Drop out. This means to stop participating in something before finishing. For example, he dropped out of college. Repeat it. He dropped out of college. Again, he dropped out of college. Now in conversation. Why did she drop out? She dropped out because she found a job. Repeat it slowly. She dropped out because she found a job. Now listen to this reflective sentence. I thought about dropping out, but I decided to stick with it. Repeat it. I decided to stick with it. Now let's add that one too. Stick with. This means to continue and not quit. For example, if you stick with your practice, you'll improve. Repeat it. If you stick with your practice, you'll improve. Again, if you stick with your practice, you'll improve. Now, let's connect these into a longer, motivational story. Listen carefully. When I started learning English seriously, I fell behind at times and thought about dropping out, but I stuck with it. Slowly, I caught on. My confidence grew, and things started to turn out better than I expected. Now repeat it step by step. I fell behind at times. I thought about dropping out, but I stuck with it. Slowly, I caught on. Excellent. Now pause for a moment. This kind of language is exactly what native speakers use when they talk about learning, growth, and persistence. It's calm, honest, and real. In the next part, we'll move closer to the closing sections of this long lesson. We'll bring everything together with reflection, encouragement, and natural conclusions, just like a real English podcast. Whenever you're ready, we'll continue. Let's continue. Now, we're moving into the final stretch of this long lesson. The English here sounds reflective, confident, and calm. This is exactly how native speakers speak when they summarize experiences and share lessons. Let's introduce another very natural phrasal verb, pull through. This means to survive a difficult situation or get through something hard. For example, we weren't sure at first, but he pulled through. Repeat it with me. He pulled through. Again, he pulled through. Now in a more personal sentence. It was a tough year, but I pulled through with support from others. Repeat it. I pulled through with support from others. Very natural. Now let's add another one. Give up. You've heard it before, but now we'll use it in a more reflective way. For example, I didn't give up, even when it felt difficult. Repeat it. I didn't give up. Again, I didn't give up. Now listen to this sentence. There were moments when I wanted to give up, but I kept going. Repeat it slowly. I wanted to give up, but I kept going. Now let's add another phrasal verb that fits naturally here. Keep going. This means to continue despite difficulty. For example, even when I felt tired, I kept going. Repeat it. I kept going. Again, I kept going. Now listen to this short reflection. Sometimes the hardest part is simply keeping going. Repeat it. The hardest part is keeping going. Very good. Now let's connect these into a meaningful, natural story. Listen carefully. There were times when learning English felt overwhelming. I thought about giving up, but I kept going. With practice and patience, I pulled through and became more confident. Now repeat it step by step. I thought about giving up, but I kept going. And eventually, I pulled through. Excellent. Now let's introduce another very common phrasal verb. Look forward to. This means to feel excited about something in the future. For example, I'm looking forward to the weekend. Repeat it. I'm looking forward to the weekend. Again, I'm looking forward to the weekend. Now, in a more personal sentence, I'm looking forward to seeing how much my English improves. Repeat it. I'm looking forward to seeing how much my English improves. Very natural. Now let's add another one. Build up. This means to gradually increase something. For example, you build up confidence over time. Repeat it. You build up confidence over time. Again, you build up confidence over time. Now listen to this sentence. With daily practice, you slowly build up fluency. Repeat it. You slowly build up fluency. Now let's connect these ideas into a longer, encouraging message. Listen. When you practice every day, you build up confidence without even noticing it. One day, you'll look back and realize how far you've come, and you'll look forward to speaking English even more. Now repeat it step by step. You build up confidence. You look back and see progress, and you look forward to what comes next. Excellent. Now let's add one more very natural phrasal verb. Pay off. This means that effort brings a good result. For example, all that hard work finally paid off. Repeat it. It finally paid off. Again, it finally paid off. Now listen to this reflective sentence. At times, progress feels slow, but consistent practice always pays off. Repeat it. Practice always pays off. Very good. Now let's move into a longer closing story that brings everything together. Listen carefully. When I first started learning English, I felt unsure and uncomfortable. I fell behind sometimes and thought about giving up, but I stuck with it. I kept showing up, practicing a little every day. Slowly, things started to click. My confidence built up. My listening improved. And speaking felt more natural. Looking back now, I see that all the effort paid off. and I'm looking forward to continuing this journey. Now repeat it step by step. I stuck with it. I kept showing up. My confidence built up. And in the end, it paid off. Excellent. Now, let's slow down. Take a breath. This lesson wasn't about memorizing phrasal verbs. It was about hearing real English, used naturally, the way people actually speak. If you stayed with me through this long practice, you're already training your mind like an advanced learner. Before we finish, remember this. Fluency comes from patience. It comes from repetition. And it comes from not giving up. If you found this lesson helpful, make sure to like the video and subscribe to English in Mastery. More long-form, practical English lessons are coming. Thank you for spending this time with me. Keep practicing, keep listening, and most importantly, keep going. I'll see you in the next lesson. All right. Let's finish this lesson calmly and naturally. Before we close, I want you to remember something important. Fluent English is not about sounding perfect. It's about sounding comfortable. It's about being able to express your thoughts without stopping every few seconds to translate in your head. And that comes from exposure, long listening, real situations, natural repetition. That's exactly what you've been doing here. You've heard phrasal verbs the way native speakers actually use them. Not isolated, not forced, but connected to daily routines, work, emotions, and real conversations. If you listen to lessons like this regularly, something interesting happens. One day, you'll notice that you don't think about the phrasal verb anymore. You just use it. You won't think, which verb should I choose? You'll simply say it. That's real progress. So here's what I recommend. Come back to this lesson again. Listen while walking. Listen while relaxing. Listen while doing something simple. You don't always need to repeat. Sometimes, just listening is enough. Your brain is always working in the background. And if today's lesson felt long, that's a good thing. Long listening builds endurance. It trains your mind to stay in English for extended periods of time. That's exactly what advanced speakers can do. If you enjoyed this lesson, make sure you're subscribed to English in Mastery. More long, real-life English practice is coming. Designed to help you think in English, not translate. Thank you for staying with me until the end. Take care of yourself. Keep practicing a little every day. And remember, fluency is built step by step. I'll see you again very soon.